The Sunday visitor. Mike was a bartender, and a good one, which said he knew when to talk, and more importantly, he knew when not to. He worked at Franklin's, a cocktail bar in Maybrick Street. Done up like a prohibition speakeasy. Red brick walls, brass fixtures, low lighting. Rumor had it that the owners had stolen the bricks from a building site across town. As you walk in, the bar was to the right, the restaurant to the left. Four small tables on the right with the counter, and behind it, the pyramid. 3 tiers of shelving where every bottle was displayed, soldiers on parade. It was a Sunday afternoon in late October. Mike's colleague, Danny, was downstairs doing the stock count. When you have time to lean, you have time to clean. Mike had taken every bottle down and was polishing them one by one. He was on the Amaro, a dusty Italian bottle that had been there longer than he had when he noticed a change. A prickling on his skin. The background murmur of the restaurant had shifted. Not louder, not quieter, just wrong. A young man was drifting between the tables. He would sit down uninvited, lean forward as though sharing a secret. And when the occupants stiffened, he would move on. He was slender, very pale, dressed entirely in black. Everything fitted him perfectly, which was somehow the most unsettling thing about him. Mike sat down the Amaro. It wasn't unusual, this sort of thing. But this was 3:30 on a Sunday afternoon, and the man didn't look drunk. He looked delighted. Mike went to the couple the stranger had just settled down beside. "I'm terribly sorry. Do you know this gentleman?" They shook their heads. "He's certainly not with us." Mike turned to the stranger. Up close, the eyes were unusual. Not quite blue, not quite grey, the color of a gas flame turned low. "I'm sorry, sir. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." The young man smiled. It was the kind of smile that made you want to smile back, and also to check your pockets. Leave. But everyone here is so interesting. The couple over there, he's been lying to her about money for 6 months. And the woman by the window, composing a letter to a man who isn't her husband. He sighed happily. "I do love Sundays." "Very fascinating, but I need you to go. Do you know who I am?" "I don't, and it doesn't make much of a difference." The young man leaned back. "I have many names. Some people called me Morningstar, but you can call me Dave." Mike had been a bartender for 11 years. He had served a woman who claimed to be Cleopatra, 3 separate men who believed they were Jesus, and a stag party from Leeds, which was worse than all of the above combined. "Right, well, Dave, you still need to leave." Mike caught Danny's eye. He was just coming up from the cellar, his colleague. He gave Danny a nod, the one that meant this one. Between them, they had the young man by each elbow and were walking him to the door. He didn't resist. At the door, he turned, that smile again. "No hard feelings, Mike." Mike hadn't told him his name. The stranger laughed, a short sound like a match being struck, and walked into the grey afternoon.